Welcome to another edition of Relationship Prep. Over the week, we've been tackling lots of subjects that are very sensitive when it comes to relationships, and today is no exception. We normally have questions that sometimes we don't get the right people to ask, and we are misled. We have our mama as always here. Mommy, welcome once again.
Thank you, Zach.
Mama Krista, we always have with all her busy schedule, she makes time to come here to talk to us. And we have one Reverend Emmanuel Otu. He's also here to help us talk about today's topic. We are talking about celibacy. It is interpreted in so many ways. Today we will streamline it, and then we'll get to find out how and what it is about. Let's go for a quick break. When we come back,
I'm watching LMT.
LMT will take you there.
I'll take you there.
We want to start with you. We've heard the word celibacy. Everybody has a way of defining it. What at all is this word that sometimes to men, if we have to go by the explanation we know, it is troubling to some men. Why would you want me to wait, looking at it from the premarital, staying away from sex till we get married?
Thank you. If you are talking about celibacy here, then you are not talking about marriage here at all. So then you rightly brought it to, I think, what you meant by your celibacy. So if I want to talk about, I'm looking at it from abstinence to premarital sex. As young people, we've been talking about relationship. So you are in relationship. What are your expectations in the relationship? Most of the time, young people believe and think that the basic thing why they entered into the relationship is the sex itself. That is why somebody is even going to tell somebody, I love you. At the back of the person's mind is sex. Then now we are sitting here telling the same youth that is going in for relationship that you use your word celibacy, I will use abstinence, and then talk about premarital sex. So it's a relationship you are entering. It's not a marriage relationship. And then, like I keep saying, we go back to the basis. Sex was created for marriage. Sex was created for marriage and not for relationship. So when you have sex, God expects that you have sex when you are married. In this era, that even the toothpaste advert that we are seeing on televisions is going towards that direction. How do you tell the youth that you can have a meaningful relationship without sex? How do you do that? Because most of them, where they are coming from, the reason why somebody even goes into a relationship to tell somebody, I love you, is because of the sex. Now in the church, the story has changed. Realize that church, we frown of premarital sex. So they don't even go in as a relation. They go straight, I want to marry you. And some people believe that once I've said I'm going to marry you, it's an opening for sex. But here we are talking about abstaining from sex when you are not married. So entering into a relationship doesn't give you the right to indulge in sexual activities or sexual intercourse. We are talking about having a meaningful relationship without sex.
Meaningful relationship without sex.
And here, I see celibacy as also abstinence, as my colleague had just said, from sex and also from marriage. It's living a single life, either temporary or permanently. And so, as marriage is also a gift from God, celibacy is also a gift from God. But unfortunately, as my colleague said, we find it very difficult to live that single life these days. But it's a gift. That is why most of the men may not be virgins, but are still looking for what? Virgins. Because there is something in that.
Mm-hmm.
That single life, there is something in that. That's something. So it's also a gift. As 1 Corinthians 7:1 to 11 describes it. So here, we don't see it as a second class. We also see it as a first class, like the marriage relationship.
Okay.
Because here, it's a gift and a call to remain single, as 1 Corinthians 7:7 describes. And also remain single because of present crisis. You may be in a certain situation that it takes that single life. It takes you to abstain. No, the situation that I find myself in, my parents, my siblings, I have decided to abstain from sex. Abstain from marriage. Let me have my MA. Then if there is the need to even renew my mind, then I renew it. This person will focus all his abilities towards what? His studies or her studies. So, and also crisis also may mean negatively, you may have an accident, etc. It's also an understanding that the time in this world is short. And so you want to devote that life to God. A commitment to give undivided devotion also to God. An absence of a desired believer to marry. So at times we get to a situation that no one approaches me. All the guys in the system are either double dealers or name them hit and run guys. The church, I can't find my community, wherever I find myself, I can't find someone. There is the need for me to live that single life, maybe temporary, for a purpose. Because the moment you have sex with another person, there is some kind of bond. After sex, you would never be whole, never be 100%. You will reduce depending on how many sex you have had. Either 70% or 20% or 30% whole. And that is why taking the 30% to a marriage, would the marriage survive?
Before we go to the audience, abstaining, does it have effects on our marriages?
It helps you. The positives are more than the negatives. You see, in this modern era that we have sexually transmitted infections, we have unwanted pregnancies. You know, the funny thing that people forget is that this sex thing, this premarital sex thing, breeds mistrust and infidelity in the future.
Wow.
You see, so being celibate helps you. You get it? Because when I say it, the students will laugh. When you are into a relationship with someone and you people are abstaining from sex, yes, no matter the years, if the person says, I don't wish us to continue the relationship anymore, yes, it's painful, but you let go a bit easier than when you have slept with the person. You get it? Because you see, when God created marriage and then said that go and then multiply and replenish the earth, both of them were naked before each other and they were not ashamed. It's marriage. Now, with premarital sex and its headache, you are looking for ways to please the man or the woman, because already whatever you are supposed to do in the marriage, you are doing here. Sure. The fear of even getting pregnant. I tell people that when we talk of sexuality and sexual intercourse, people forget one thing. The days that when you, a guy, you are going to have sex with a lady and you ask the lady whether the lady is in the safe period or not safe period, those days are over. If a child decides to come, the child will come anyway. So, when you have unprotected sex, the first thing you should be thinking about is pregnancy, not sexually transmitted infection. If you have the boldness to go into premarital sex, the first thing you should be thinking about is pregnancy. And so I don't get it when at a point your partner, your sexual partner comes to you and tells you I'm pregnant and it's like, hey, how? How did it happen? It happened the way it happened. But if both of you have decided to abstain from this, it saves you the trouble. Then you have a better view of the relationship. You see, sometimes sex covers a lot of flaws in a relationship. So when you people, both of you decide to abstain from sex, become celibate, it gives you a good perspective about the relationship. And therefore, if the relationship is not thriving, you can decide to halt it. But you see, because you are engaging in this, sometimes the weaker vessel, it is not necessarily the woman. The one person who is weak, in every relationship, we have the strong person and we have the weak person. The weaker will always use that sex thing to entice you. And then it will becloud your sense of judgment. So if you want a clearer relationship, you want to see somebody say, see top, focus on a relationship, I believe that if you remove that thing called sex from that relationship, it will help you.
Would you blame us when in this era we have the sex sell as a motive behind most of the marketing products? Everything, like you said, toothpaste has a sexual
connotation.
Exactly. In this our generation, it has become a proof of your love.
Not to cut you short. You realize that? So that's why I started by saying that. What kind of relationship do you want to have? Honestly, if you want to have that kind of relationship that you want to build the relationship and then the future destination is marriage, sex is not part. People enter into relationship with different reasons. And these days, one of the key reasons is to have sex. This brings us back to values and principles. You cannot just get up and tell yourself that I want to abstain from sex. Yes, the Bible talks so much about immorality. But the point is, you, the person, need boundaries. Yes, for the adverts and everything is, otherwise all of us will be going about having sex one way or the other. Because if you open the television, Pepsodent, sex, even common restaurant that people are going to sit, they are going in couples and then at the end of it all, it ends up in a room. So everything that is going on is all about sex. But ask yourself, despite all that is going on, what do you want in your relationship? Do you want to also follow the crowd, or you want a different thing altogether? Remember, when Elijah said, all the prophets are corrupted, God reminded him that no, not all of them are corrupted. I have. You get my point? So, The whole thing is that, yes, everything that we are all watching, it's all about sex. Those of us who are married, it's all about sex. Some even go to the extremes. All the movies that you are even watching showcase sex and even makes adultery very palatable. Because it's like you are using something to also top up something. But the question here is, what values and principles do you hold as a Christian? What values and principles do you hold as an individual? What brought you into the relationship? In every relationship, we set boundaries. So as you tell me you wish to marry me, you feel you want to marry me, you are convinced that I am the bone of my bone. Then the next conviction is that let's stay off sex till we marry. If you are able to do that, it means both of us have the same values. If you're always pressuring me, sex is not equal to love. You don't need to have sex with somebody to know that the person loves you. Sex is one of the tools. But there are so many ways of showing your partner you love him or her without having sex.
So many ways of showing love. I told you some time ago that I think marriage is basically the certificate to have sex. But anyways, I'm sure we'll attend to that one someday soon. But let's go to the audience and take our questions. Yes.
My name is Daniel, and I have a quick comment. As much as what they are saying is right, I think everyone should have a bit of experience with sex before marriage. My reason is that, especially to today's women, like Opambo will say, Opedie ebe yamno. Yes. Yes. When you go into a relationship with a woman, or maybe when you marry her, and then the first day you undress and you say, so I think every man should have at least an experience to know the skills, so that you can run your woman well. Thank you.
Do you know that every relationship, every sexual relationship has its own way of satisfaction? I think he has something there for his next something. But the interesting thing is that I love what you said, because sexuality is misquoted. A lot of us don't even understand sexuality. What even makes up that sexual intercourse, and that everybody is focusing on the sexual organ. Is the huge misconception that we have. But we are finding it very difficult to break this because of our culture. I once remember I was teaching, and then I was talking about sexuality, and then I was opening some keys. So one student went to one of my colleagues and asked him, but sir, didn't you tell us that this woman is married to a pastor? He said, yes. Didn't you tell us that she too, she's a pastor? I said, but the way she was saying certain things. So then he said that, but that is her field. So she's teaching it. You will not even receive it. And you're receiving the wrong information. Test. You see, you can test Amma to gain experience. But let me tell you, you meet Adjoa, and it's a different ball game altogether. You will not need Amma's experience to service Adjoa. You see, so that is why I said to be on the safest side. The woman that you want to marry, if you want a peaceful marriage, abstain from sex. For some of us, we believe that if we had had premarital sex, we wouldn't have married the men we married. From where we are also coming from. Because maybe you have a whole lot of ideas about sex. We are talking about sizes, people are talking about quantities, people are talking about quality, so everybody has their own ideas. And Reverend will agree with me that even as counselors, when you get to the subject of sexuality and sex, even for couples who are about marrying, it's like you have hit the rock.
The no-go area.
Most of them that go for counseling are church people. It's a taboo story. So people even, the art of sex, people have no idea. We are all using either what people are showing as porn, that they are addicted to drugs and all those things before they do it, or we are just listening to the peer information that they don't know, because here in this part of the world, we don't have sex therapists. It's about time we get it. So people get it right. That sex thing you are talking about and your experience, Ahmed's experience will be different. That is why some people, I can boldly tell that there are some people, when they're even having sexual intercourse with their partners or their husbands, they picture the former intercourse they had to get satisfied. You see, all because of these misconceptions. Before, even if you want to taste, before you marry the person, get the facts right. Otherwise, you would get disappointed.
That after testing, what do you do with the lady that you have tested? Do you dump her if she doesn't?
It's a test.
So if she fails, it's a test.
It's a test.
Yeah, it's a test.
I'm even adding up.
Yeah.
I think you said what I wanted to say. To me, it's a misnomer. It's just a non-starter.
Yeah.
In a more meaningful relationship, this is a non-starter because from a personal experience, I've got to know that men who enter into a relationship and they just want to go down with the lady, it's just that the man doesn't love the lady. Because personally, I've got to experience it. It got to a time I had 3 ladies that I had to choose. And I wouldn't. But the others of which I had ulterior motives. That was the So to me, if a guy, you are into a relationship with a guy and what the guy is after is sex, then I think you, the lady, your eyes should mean that this is not your life.
The relationship also, we have to look at the love factor here. If we really have a true love, we will understand each other and abstain. If it's infatuation, or sexual love, definitely the attraction will definitely drive you. You see, we have that sex right in us, right from our birth. As we grow, it begins to appear to disturb us. But God has also given us that grace and the power to go through. It is not easy. It is not easy. It takes real love for that person in order for you to abstain. If it is about last love, the love that is lust, or the love that is what? Sexual attraction, or the love that is infatuation. And I'm telling us, you can't differentiate the real love from that false love. It takes the grace of God. So when you see these factors coming in, sex coming in, it can also what? Blindfold you.
I'm asking a question in response to being an educationist. We are learning so far. We know that Ghana is a Christian country. Some parents do not teach this stuff because they know that the more they talk about this, their words will turn out to be bad people. But I'm asking, recently, prior to the discovery of prostate cancer, some counselors, doctors, nurses are advising that as a man, you have to release or ejaculate at least 5 times. And so I'm asking, as a youth or growing up, how do we battle this, being a Christian and then fulfilling the scientific part?
Thank you. That is the whatever disease conditions comes out, we have the risk population. So when you're talking of prostate cancer, we are looking from the 40s upwards. You get it? It doesn't mean that my adolescent who is 18 years old and having all, you realize that yes, sexual thing is in it, but when you get to the adolescent stage, that is where all of them are manifesting, and that is where you want to have the identity, and that is where you people are difficult to bring up. The adolescent stage, if you are able to, your child is able to pass the adolescent stage clean. When you go to church, start rolling as a parent. It's not that easy, and it's not that parents don't want to talk to. We don't have the strength. You see, our culture is such that sexuality and sex education are a non-going area. So it's not that they don't want to tell you with the fear that you go and indulge. It's better we even tell you. So that when you have your period as a lady, now 11 years they have it, 10 they have it. It is the responsibility of the parent to sit the child down and tell her that now that you have seen your period, if you have sex, they told us that if you go near a man and you get pregnant, because of that you can't go near men. That is not what I'm talking about. If you have sex with a man, you get pregnant. Tell the man. Otherwise, the man will tell her that you will not get pregnant. When you do it for the first time, you will not get pregnant. It is when you do it more. Whether you do it one, you do it two, whether it was half. Once there was penetration and there was sperm, the deed is done. So, for you, when they say ejaculate, they are talking about the target population. For you, you abstain. You should be abstaining. When you get to, by the time you get to that age, you are either. So what about those that are celibate?
Yeah.
Will they get it? You see, when we say it, we have the chances. We say that maybe 5 out of the population of this group of men have the chance of getting this thing. So do this. It doesn't mean that the 4-year-old or the 10-year-old or whatever should just ejaculate for 5 times. So those that have resolved not to marry, what happens to them?
And even a little to add to what you just said, Association of Christian Counselors worldwide, biblically it is proven that life to a certain stage. What you just said is scientifically proven, secularly proven, not biblically proven. You get it?
All these things
yeah, that is why we have challenges. We have secular counselors and we also have Christian counselors. And from our point of view, it hasn't been proven that you have that. Is it that prostrate? It's not.
We can even do a cohort study with Ghanaians and see, follow them up for a period of 10 to 5, 10 something years.
But there's something that I want to chip in. You see, I can assure you that if you want to come by a well-suited partner from biblical studies or findings, I am telling you, seek that from God. I can give you maybe some few weeks, some few days, some few months. The one who created your partner, the manufacturer is there. You are looking for Toyota. You are looking for Benz. The one who is producing it is there. You also roaming chasing for one. Why don't you quickly tell to your father that you said I should not what? Be alone. I can't continue having sex here and there. So give me my suitable one partner.
Give me my suitable.
Faithfully, I am telling you. is that because normally we match people as an association, not only in Ghana. We match people and we look for virgins. And I'm telling you, just last week, we connected right now in the last we have some from other countries that we want to match. We want to match, and when we see that you have certain characteristics that are your attitudes and your virginity is, maybe you can, if not first primary virgin and secondary virgin. Come on. Is it, at least
we will come as singles, we will come and then we receive you.
My final word is that it pays to abstain from sex when you are in a relationship. I tried it. Perfect. Sometimes when I discuss, people say, for that to know. I said, we are waiting. So we wait. Because the focus point is that we want to get married. And when you get married, that says 10. You cry, sometimes you want to abstain. And nobody is helping you abstain. So now that you have the chance to abstain, abstain. Abstain and then build the relationship. Carry the relationship forward. And then if it ends in marriage, at least you have your heart desire. If it doesn't end, because I keep saying that not all relationships will end in marriage. Even the one that the person says, I want to marry you, will still not end in marriage. So don't use that he wants to marry me as an excuse and then have premarital sex. Stay pure. When you stay pure, it's for your own good. And then I keep saying that our past will always come to haunt us in the present. So if you want a clean sheet tomorrow, let your today be clean.